welcome everyone. Well, it is that time of year again, and I am here with our panel of SuccessFactors experts who will be sharing their thoughts on some of the exciting release items coming with the first half 2024 SAP SuccessFactors release. Before we dive in, let's have everyone introduce themselves. My name is Shannon Ippolito, and I will be your moderator today.
Hi, I'm Tim McAlpine. I am the lead for core HR and platform.
Hi, I'm Kelly Abbott. I'm going to be your lead for global benefits.
Hi, I'm Lokesh Sharma, COE payroll lead at Rizing.
Hi, my name is Yasin Zadi, and I am the COE for the talent acquisition part.
Hello, I'm Heather Stewart. I'm the lead for the talent management modules.
And hello, everybody. My name is Jorge Rivas. I'm going to be the lead for people analytics and technical. Over to you, Shannon.
Great. Thank you, everyone. All right, so first up, let's kick off our discussion with just a few reminders on the general release management. So when you are preparing for your general release here, you want to make sure that you're looking at the What's New viewer that SAP provides. You can download it into CSV, you can download the PDF, look at it online. It is some great documentation on all of the release items, and you can filter the list initially for your particular areas of interest, and then dig deeper into each item right there on the screen. Also, another piece that everyone needs to keep in mind is testing is so crucial. While there may not be some big items that are in your particular area of interest, you still want to make sure you're testing your system, test the processes that you can test or you're able to test. Test end to end, do a little regression testing just to make sure you're finding and ensuring that there's no bugs or anything that's happening, and or seeing, how changes may impact your processes as well. And be sure to use those resources that are available to you. SAP has a great community where you can access all of the product information, all of the release information, hear from the SAP experts as well. Just make sure you're going out there and getting all the information you can with regards to this release. So now let's get into the module-specific information. We're going to start off with Tim. So Tim, from an Employee Central perspective, what are some key highlights you're seeing?
Thanks, Shannon. So the first thing we want to talk about is around centralized services. So this has come up in a few different releases as we've progressed. The main kind of theme we have is those that were released previously are now made universal and not able to be opt out of. So that's definitely something people want to be able to test for. In addition to that, there are also some additional centralized services that have been added. The first one being around cross-entity rules. There previously was a limit of 5 cross-entity rules available for the system. That's now been removed. And the addition, they've prevented the dates from being out of alignment. So whenever you make a cross-entity rule, the base rule that you're executing from will now determine the start date. In addition, they've also added support for contingent workers around hiring and following up processes for time off and terminations. They've also added additional functionality around concurrent employment with centralized services, where the company is being sourced from the employment portlet rather. And then they've also added in a rule context for concurrent employment hires as well. The last two around pension payouts and higher duties and temporary assignments, they've made some modifications to how the business rules fire, as well as the start date validations when you align. The next section I wanted to talk about was around automatically hiring applicants. So this is something that has come up for a number of clients. It's mostly related to those that do large volume hires over a period, whether that's a summer period or casuals. And what it means is applicants coming from recruiting and onboarding will now be able to be hired automatically in Employee Central without the need to go through the managed pending hires verification. And I know, Hassan, that you have seen this as part of your onboarding and recruiting as well.
Clients have been asking for this feature for a while now. Once new hires are pushed into managed pending hires, it does not make sense for the clients to do a manual managed pending hires. especially in case of mass onboarding, for example, in case of acquisitions. Back to you, Tim.
Yep. So this is exactly what they've been looking for. This also comes with some visual updates to the Manage Pending Hires summary screen. It allows you to see those that have been hired through that automatic hire and any sort of follow-on processes that are required. The next piece is around workflows, and one of the new additions or changes is around the pending workflows requests. So previously, this page was something that was kind of a leftover from when EC was first designed. It hasn't really been updated since then. So having this now available in the same sort of flow and format as the rest of the suite really helps, and it streamlines the visualization of it and separating them out by category. So it's definitely an improvement on the workflow notifications, as well as being able to add it as a quick action now instead of having to add it as a custom tile. The last thing for Employee Central that we want to focus on is around the new addition as well for the quick actions around the My Team positions. So this works similar to the My Team tile, where you can see all of your employees that directly under you. The addition to this is being able to manipulate and manage the positions that these employees belong to, but it also enables you to see those vacant positions that are assigned directly to you. So it gives you a more structured view around the position structure, enables you to set up quick actions and make changes directly to the position structure without having to go through and navigating through the position structure in total. Okay. Next, we will talk about time off. So a few additions here. One of the big ones is around monthly timesheets. So previously, timesheets have only been able to be updated and recorded on a weekly basis. Adding in the monthly timesheet functionality allows you to be able to submit a full month of timesheets. This is still just you require additional product support in order to enable this feature. So it's not general availability yet, but it is something that people have been asking for. So that's going to make a big improvement to the time off process there as well. The new people profile experience, which will come later in the platform updates, there's some time off enhancements in that area now that allows you to visually see when somebody is away on a time off or an absence, whatever the case is. So having that included directly into the profile makes a lot of sense as well. One of the previous releases that we talked about was the addition of the time forms, which is essentially templated data that's available now to be generated using the time off data. So previously the time off data was not available. It's been made available through these time forms. You can set up templates that can run and generate the data. It's now been available for employee self-service. So this helps a lot with being able to see time taken, time coming, et cetera, for your absence data. The last piece from a time off perspective, in a previous release, they added in a time type filter that was enabled through rule creation. So you would be able to filter your time types on a profile based on specific rules that you've derived from employee data. And that could be based on your employee type, or it could even be down to the gender. And that restricts the available absences and time types available for that person based on those rules. There was a limit of 10 rules that were only being allowed to add. This has now been removed. And so this has come from client feedback on the process itself. So it helps to have those additional rules and really enable them to keep a generic profile, but still customize it for those different employee groups. The last piece we want to talk about is around time tracking. One of the main things that they've added now is this timesheet approval center. And what that does is allows a full comprehensive view of all of the approvals, all of the timesheets that are relevant for your employee population. And so you as a manager can go into this approval center and see all of the timesheets that are pending, that are awaiting approval, that are missing punch cards, things like that. So it's like a one-stop shop for your time approval. addition, similar to the time type filter we mentioned before, they've added an allowance time type filter in the same fashion. So you'll be able to use rules to generate, to restrict the allowances that are available when you're creating this for an employee. The last piece for time tracking was around the workflow details. So when a workflow is generated on a timesheet that needs approvals, it now provides the link directly to that timesheet within the UI, which makes it a lot easier to validate against what you're seeing on the workflow itself. Thanks, Shannon. Back to you.
Great. Thank you, Tim, so much. It's nice to see continual improvements, especially around time off and time tracking. Next up, we're going to have Kelly walk us through some things happening in the EC Global Benefits space. Kelly.
Thank you, Shannon. So in the EC Global Benefits, there's nothing short of revolution that continues to happen within EC Global Benefits. Some of the biggest highlights for 1H this year are, Tim's already touched on the new rule scenarios for global benefits with that new rule engine he mentioned on pension. That got really broadened out with a whole set of scenarios that are really benefit specific. Things to help you preset determinations for benefit plans, or even the contribution determinations to help you pick the amount of dollars in deduction that is available for these employees. Already at your fingertips, making those opportunities quite seamless in the process. So a whole new rules engine, the old one has been deprecated. And so these are now available with 1H in general availability. So that's pretty big. The new configuration trigger trackers. So this is a new step into kind of evaluation of benefits for those organizations that have benefit rules that are really outside of the box, that are really based on, if you think step progression, that milestones are hit based on two outside or randomized key component data elements. Maybe one of those live in job history, and another one of those foundation pieces live biographical information, and those need to be compared to each other. This tracker allows you to set those and track changes against those each other to then set evaluations for benefits. So really next level, there are lots of places around the world where it's not so straightforward in benefits, maybe that we're used to in North America, that some of these benefits would be comprised of the need for these evaluations on these data elements. And these are available in multiple portlets throughout Employee Central. So that was a really big win for global benefits as a whole in multiple wallets. So the new fields benefit opt-out request objects. So in H2 of 2023, we discussed how opt-out was now an opportunity to start looking like a waived benefit, and that was a huge win for benefit administrators. In H1, this has gone even further and added two fields, and one is a status, right? So a benefit and a request status. So you can see the option of opt out or waive, and what is pending, what has been canceled, what was successfully opted out of, because these things are reportable. And it's very important to know what employees were given the option of the benefit, who decided to decline the benefit, who accepted it, and who really hasn't made a decision when you're looking into those enrollment cycles. So this is a really important step within enrollment cycles, or even just regularly benefit administration, to know who is still out there not making a decision and where are they in the decision-making process. Fully traceable, fully trackable with these two new fields to help the benefits administrators be able to know which employees they really kind of need to follow up with. So really big deal there. And then from a benefit administrator and from a technical consultant perspective, the copy feature for benefit objects. Now whole entire objects can be copied when this really helps when you're copying from one year to the next or rolling over benefits from one plan year to the next. You can simply copy the entire object, put it into the new year, and then just change what actually changed within those objects. Did the plan year change? Did the dollars and the cents according to that change, or did the ceilings change with some of those plans? Just make the changes to those, resave down the plan into the new year without creating that from scratch every time over and over again. So what a time saver for benefit administrators everywhere. And the last one I'm going to touch on, this is the latest benefit enrollment experience. So this is the wonderful guided tour of enrollment into your benefits. Instead of going singular benefit plan at a time, where you can see your benefit plans lined up side by side and have that kind of intuitive experience. There's a lot of customers that are involved in the early adoption program of this right now. This is not yet available for general availability. That is coming in the future. We're looking down the line to the next release for this to start being available in the general availability. No promises for that yet, but it looks like we're on pace for that. But very exciting, hard work there that has been done. And it's very exciting to see benefits finally receive its completed facelift. Shannon, I think that concludes benefits for today.
Great. Thank you, Kelly. I am super excited. I cannot wait to see that latest benefits experience. I'm super excited.
Thank you.
As you said, it's been a long time coming, so I'm super excited to see it.
Sure.
Kelly, now we're going to talk to Lakesh about Employee Central Payroll.
And thanks, Shannon. We'll go over key enhancements for ECP for the current release. So the first one which we have is ECP is now letting us to have mashups open up in new tabs. So this is a cosmetic change for end users. It's still an optional change. It's not a mandatory one. But basically, in order to access ECP in mashups, what end users typically would do, they would duplicate their tabs. And it was such a hassle. But with this feature, they don't have to do it. It will just open up in a new tab. They will not lose their old information. They can still go back to the employee profile and see what they wanted to do, but they can open ECP in a new tab. So this is a useful change. And as I mentioned, it will save them time, and it's an optional feature. Next one which we have is for Payroll Control Center, our favorite PCC. It's talk of the town in ECP world. Now that SAP is encouraging all our customers to use this manage config functionality as opposed to the older one. So with this feature, SAP is putting this auxiliary calc in a different tab, in a separate tab. So with more thresholds, more constant rules, which we will have to access in manage config, it's always easier to see auxiliary calc in a separate tab. So this is an optional feature. It will be made available with the current release. And again, SAP is encouraging all the customers to go ahead and use manage config with PCC. The next one which we have is pay statements will be available in our AI, which is Joule. So this is a brilliant feature to see pay statements in Joule. And we aren't far away from the time where we can ask, hey, Joule, where is my pay statement for the previous pay period, or why my net pay is less as a compared to the previous pay period, or why my taxes are high. We aren't there yet, but we are heading in that direction. So this again is an optional feature for the people who will be using Joule. That is a third one on the list. And fourth we have is enhancement to P2P. So we can now download the certificate which enables EC to ECP replication directly from a program instead of going through the SPRO config nodes, because it was a bit tricky in the past. We would go back to SAP, raise an incident if we weren't able to download that certificate. So it will be available directly in a program to download. And then the certificate can be uploaded in EC for P2P authentication. So this also is an optional feature, not saying that the old SPRO is going away. It's just a shorter entry to download that certificate. So that's pretty much it, Shannon. Over to you. Thanks.
Ash. All right, exciting things happening in payroll. Now let's move on to Heather, who's going to walk us through some comp and variable pay things. Heather?
Terrific. Thanks, Shannon. So as we talk about compensation and variable pay, I think one of the main themes is user experience. We are going to see some changes throughout those modules to make for a better user experience, both for administrators as well as employees. One of those user experience elements is the new My Forms page that's now available for compensation. So you'll notice that change in the system. There still is the ability to revert back to the older version of the My Forms page if you feel that that's necessary, but I think there are a lot of nice benefits of using the new My Forms page in terms of better searchability and so forth, so I definitely encourage adoption of that. In addition to the new My Forms page, though, there are a variety of other places where they've worked very hard at SAP SuccessFactors to improve the user experience in this relatively mature module. So definitely check out the What's New viewer to see all the various examples of the places where there are some changes to button placement or terminology or search fields. Excuse me. One of the other things we wanted to call attention to is that the legacy executive review filters are now deleted. They've been really replaced by the newest version of executive review filters for a couple of releases now. That's now our mainstream go-to. So just want to call attention to that as well. One of the other notable options is the availability to be able to export and import information from within executive review in XLSX format. I'm not sure that that impacts a wide variety of clients, but those that need it, it's a real benefit to have that now. And then the last piece that I want to call attention to relates to the ability to see individual view detail in compensation plans. So in a nutshell, what that basically means is that you can now see bonus calculation information in the individual view for variable pay inside total compensation templates. This is a gap closure between variable pay and total compensation templates. Basically, this is going to allow that for you to see that the individual is eligible for various programs, including total compensation ones, if variable pay is included in the template. So that should be available inside the individual view now. So lots of good things coming from a user experience perspective, and just really smartening up and fine-tuning that user experience within the comp and variable pay modules. So you'll hear that continued theme of user experience as we get into some of the other talent management modules later in our conversation today. So I'll turn it back over to you, Shannon.
Thank you, Heather. Yes, we will be coming back to you shortly to walk through some of the other talent pieces. But for now, we're going to move on to Asan, who's going to walk through recruiting, marketing, and onboarding for us. Asan, what's going on this release?
Oh, a lot going on. I had to select a few out of all the enhancements that have been made to recruiting, marketing, and onboarding. So the first one that I have selected is the enhancement to the applicant management interface. This is a significant improvement, and it is a combination of several new features now accessible within the redesigned application management tool in recruiting. This enhancement is automatically enabled when the new user logs into recruiting for the first time. The redesigned applicant management tool is now enabled automatically. Some of the features within this enhancement, I have selected a few. I'm going to call out a few. Sort applicants in a list page. This has been a major revamp. Clients have been complaining all the time that they cannot sort applicants. Now you can. You can click on the sort icon to specify your preferred sorting method for the list. You have the flexibility to select any column from the list page to arrange it in either ascending or descending order. The second one is forwarding an applicant action. This new feature is accessible in both the list page and applicant details page. Enables you to submit a candidate as an applicant to a requisition, simulating as if the candidate had directly applied to that requisition, whereas earlier they had to apply again. Initiate, reinitiate assessment actions and assessment portlet. The updated applicant management tool has now facilitates the integration with assessment vendor, offering an initiate assessment action for recruiting users. Additionally, the new portlet situated under the activity tab in the details view displays the assessment status and provides access to the comprehensive results. Initiate background check actions and background check portlet. In this, you had to go back and initiate the background check manually. Now you don't have to. You can start the background check for an applicant. Once initiated, the background check portlet will appear in the activity tabs itself. The next one is the interview results portlet. This is the latest addition to the activity template in the portlet, displaying interview results from Interview Central. It was really hard for the recruiting users to figure out where to go to see the interview results. Now it's really accessible and user friendly. The next one is interview results column filter. The enhancement provides you the option to add the interview results column to display and filter purposes. The filter allows you to specify a minimum and a maximum range for the average of all the ratings. Referred candidates. With the activation of employee referral program, obviously, the new applicant type is donated by a referred symbol on the list page. The filter and display options for the applicant types for now incorporates referred alongside the external, internal, and agency type. Onboarding permission behavior changes. The onboarding feature permissions within the job requisition template now manages the visibility of the onboarding portlet for recruiting independently of the onboarding initiate permission, the role-based permission that we had. Some of the minor enhancements in the applicant management, but still they are significant, are the comments that are in plain text now, comments column in the job application portlet, most recent messages column in the correspondence portlet, display name updates, filter and forwarding of requisitions, handling of huge pick list scenarios that was much needed. The system becomes really slow. Now it will be able to better cope with large amount of data in the pick list, pre and post action summaries and unread columns. The next enhancement that I have selected from recruiting is the enhancement to my interview page. My interview page is now mobile responsive for candidates accessing it via the external and internal career site. Additionally, it has been improved to offer a more intuitive experience across various scheduled scenarios. This enhancement enables users users to access for interview tasks and schedule on mobile devices, empowering them to take quick actions without being dependent on a desktop device. The career site builder enhanced career site is required for this enhancement, but it's universally available and automatically enabled. Now I will move to the onboarding enhancements, and I am really excited about this new enhancement to the new onboarding journey page for the new hire. In this update, SAP has introduced a highly anticipated feature, an enhanced onboarding journey utilizing the new Your Onboarding Checklist page. This revamped onboarding experience simplifies the process for the new hires by consolidating all the required actions onto a single screen, with the activities to be completed are listed on left, and they load on the right when the new hire selects them. Instead of navigating between multiple cards, new hire can seamlessly progress from one task to the next one on the same page. This streamlines the process, reduces the confusion, reduces the number of clicks. The new hire onboarding checklist page is accessible to the new hires, rehires, employees with global assignments, and internal hires onboarding after the first half 2024 release hits production. I did say employees with global assignment because now employees, when a global assignment is created, can go into cross-boarding. That is another enhancement. Based on the process variant configured, the onboarding checklist panel displays these 4 sections. Onboarding data collection section allows new hires to provide personal data, additional data, and complete their e-signature. Compliance task section allows new hires to review I-9 and other country-specific tax forms and complete e-signature. Additional onboarding tasks allow new hires to complete the organization-specific custom and standard tasks. And then finally, the Explore onboarding guide provide new hires with the required resources to familiarize themselves to get started with their new employment. It's a universal update, automatically enabled, but there are some RBP permissions that are required. The next enhancement that I have selected from onboarding is the enhancement to the US I-9 form. This enhancement provides the option to configure the form I-9, allowing new hires to directly upload their employment eligibility document from list A or from list B and C in section 1 of I-9. When onboarding administrator enables this feature by activating it's called the require new hire to upload form I-9 document setting, new hires gain the capability of uploading the file or a picture from their desktop or a mobile device. The formats that are compatible are PNG, JPG, and PDF. The data entered by the new hire in section 1 automatically fills in section 2. So it is accessible by whoever the company representative is who is completing section 2. They are able to access the document, verify it. This feature enables the user, enhances the user experience for both the new hire and the employee, while also providing a more secure option for submitting a PII containing documents. Again, some configuration is required, role-based permissioning is required to enable this feature, but a great feature to have. The next one that I have selected is the enhancement to custom tasks for onboarding and offboarding. I selected this because there was a lot of complaint about not able to have attachment fields on custom tasks that are created for onboarding and offboarding. Now you can have, in custom tasks, you can have attachment fields. For custom tasks, you have the option to configure attachment fields, enable new hires or managers to upload documents to the document management system, DMS. Each attachment file can accept a single attachment for up to 10 MB, and the new document and these documents can be accessed through Manage Documents page. Furthermore, you can designate attachment fields as mandatory or optional, and this is possible to include more than one attachment fields in each custom task. So a big complaint that is going to be eradicated after this enhancement. Again, a universal update, automatically enabled, nothing to do. With that, I will hand it back to Shannon. Thank you, Shannon.
Great. Thank you, Hassan. I am also very excited to see that enhanced onboarding journey. To your point, it's going to lessen the clicks and it's just going to be such a better user experience for the hires. Excellent. All right, moving on, we are coming back to Heather, who's going to start walking us through all things talent management. Heather, what's happening in this release?
Terrific. Thanks, Shannon. Yeah, so we're going to talk Talent Intelligence Hub first. And although it is a part of the platform, it's so closely tied to the talent modules, I am going to include it in this conversation. One of the initial release highlights that we want to bring forward is some enhanced capability that SAP SuccessFactors has developed to really support clients in their development of a skills attribute library within Talent Intelligence Hub. For some organizations, that's a huge mountain to climb, to go through the effort of identifying skills by job and defining proficiencies and so forth. And so SAP SuccessFactors is bringing forward some AI-assisted skills architecture capability so that for those clients that have Talent Intelligence Hub enabled, as well as Job Profile Builder enabled with active job profiles created, it is possible for some AI technology to really go through and scour those existing job profiles and deduce from that what would be an appropriate skills architecture or skills attribute library that an organization could then review and then fine tune. So this is some really nice capability that's being released with this current release. It does require, again, as I mentioned, that you have Job Profile Builder enabled with active job profiles and Talent Intelligence Hub enabled, as well as the purchase of SAP AI units. So do reach out to your account manager or CE rep if you're interested in taking advantage of that and purchasing SAP AI units so that you can leverage this to maybe jumpstart your creation of a skills library within SuccessFactors. One of the other things to call attention to is that Talent Intelligence Hub continues to get some improvements with each release, and one of those is some redesign to the growth portfolio landing page. That is really the main page where your employees engage with Talent Intelligence Hub content. And so they've made some changes to the layout of that page, some of which is contingent upon whether or not you have other modules like Opportunity Marketplace and Career Development Planning and so forth. But it just shows they're continuing to put engineering energy behind the tools and the toolkit and the user experience of Talent Intelligence Hub. So I would definitely encourage you to take a look at that. And if you need assistance in your journey towards Talent Intelligence Hub, please do reach out to us so that so that we can support you in that process. Excuse me. We can go ahead and advance on a little bit here. We talk about performance and goals. One of the first things that I do want to just call attention to that's not on the slide is that really the push towards latest goal management continues with this release. And with this release, we are at end of maintenance for the legacy version of goal management. There is a heavy push to get all goal management customers onto the latest goal management. But there are some opportunities to opt out if for one reason or another your organization isn't quite ready to make that switch. So I do want to let you know they will be doing a push for most clients that haven't made the move to latest goal management with this release, but you do have opt-out capability through the Upgrade Center. It is time sensitive, however, so you have 30 days from the date at which it was enabled in your test instance and then ultimately your production instance to revert back to the legacy version of goal management one final time before it becomes required in March of 2025. So if you haven't begun your preparations towards that switch, we do encourage you to get started with that. If you need our assistance, we're happy to help you with that. And one of the other things that you might find is that there's a handful of clients that will not be pushed to the latest goal management with this release. And that's under very unique circumstances. It would only apply to those clients that have within their development plan, the competency field within their development plan, and they have not yet moved to Job Profile Builder and Talent Intelligence Hub. So it's a very unique circumstance of clients that may be excluded from this push, this release. So if in doubt, please do reach out to us. We'd be happy to assist you in determining that and working towards your strategy of moving into latest goal management. A couple other release highlights that are noted here. The 360 multi-rater feedback tools received some nice user experience updates. Definitely check out the What's New viewer to see how those affect, but one of those happens to be the experience of adding external participants as raters within a 360 review form. We also do want to call attention to the fact that the initial or legacy version of continuous performance management, or CPM, is now deleted. So you should all be on the newest version of CPM at this point in time. Definitely encourage your use of that tool. It really is a wonderful add to partner along with performance and goals. Just like we talked about with compensation, the latest My Forms page has gotten some enhancements as it relates to performance and 360 forms as well. Again, that should provide you with better searchability, better options to organize the content on the My Forms page. So definitely explore that as well. And then one other call out is a nice feature that's been added into the calibration tool within the system, and that is some scenario-based autosave behavior that's kicking in now. So there's always been an opportunity to periodically and manually save work that you're doing within an in-progress calibration session, but now the SAP SuccessFactors calibration tool has some autosave behavior that's happening every 15 seconds based on certain scenarios or activity that's happening within the session. So all of that is very progressive and a positive move in the right direction as it relates to. We can go forward one bit. From a succession and career development planning perspective, career development planning carries the day with this release. Almost all of the changes that are happening within this release focus on career development planning. And one of those is a relatively new role relationship that's been introduced for use within the development goal plan portion of the system. SuccessFactors has introduced what's called a talent administrator role relationship, so that organizations that maybe have a need for a senior person within HR or talent or organizational development to be able to navigate into employees' specific development goal plans and support them in their creation of development goals or discussion around their development goals. It's now possible to give permission for that navigation. It does require some changes to your template as well as some RBP updates. Those are noted well within the documentation, but if you need assistance, please do reach out to us and we'll be happy to support you as you try out that new role relationship in the development goals portion of CDP. There has been a nice gap closure with the latest development goals or latest goal management, and that is now the ability again to access coaching advisor. So if your development goal plan happens to use competencies and your competency library has coaching advisor content in it, like the SAP SuccessFactors libraries do, you can now tap into a convenience link and be able to embed and even fine tune some of the coaching advisor language within a development goal. There's also been a nice improvement to mentoring. There's now the ability when an administrator or program manager for a mentoring program is building out the program and they're crafting sign-up questions for the mentor and mentee sign-up forms, you can now change the order of the questions. So if you're creating a new set of questions, or if you are going back and making edits to an existing one, you now have the ability to change the order that the questions are structured. And then the last piece that I want to call attention to is another nice point of integration between mentoring and continuous performance management. It's now possible to take advantage of the one-on-one channels within continuous performance management so that the mentor and mentee can keep track of the goals and activities that they're working on within the context of their mentoring relationship back on continuous performance management. So definitely something that I think is a good complement for those two portions of the talent modules. Next, we want to talk about some of the changes that are happening with Opportunity Marketplace. There are, just like we've talked about with the other talent modules, some user experience enhancements that have come along. They also have made some changes that affect the homepage. So one of those is that if an organization builds out its own custom opportunities or assignments within Opportunity Marketplace that they want to make available to employees to either accept or decline, and it's now possible to do that directly from the homepage, so that you can see not only what that opportunity is, but also you'll see buttons to be able to accept or decline right there on the homepage. And then one of the other highlights that we wanted to bring forward is that the overall look of the Opportunity Marketplace page has had some changes to it, again, to improve the user experience. But they've segmented out 2 new sections on that page, one called Ignite Your Role, and the other is Reach Your Aspirations. And really the kind of information that appears in the Ignite Your Role section has to do with opportunities that might enhance or enrich your current role. And the Reach Your Aspirations section is really around opportunities that are forward-looking, around perhaps other opportunities or other roles within your organization. And lastly, we'll talk about some of the changes that are happening within learning. User experience, again, makes the list, but the latest version of Learning History is now generally available. That's a real plus in terms of the overall user experience on that page. There are also now well-organized administrator suggestions or even peer suggestions appearing on the new Learning homepage to help you quickly see those things that are being called out to your attention by administrators or peers as good learning opportunities for you within the Learning module. There's also now a background job that can be run for bringing in large volumes of library content. For instance, if you're bringing forward Percipio or LinkedIn Learning and have large volumes, it's possible to schedule a background job to support that. One of the other new capabilities is to optionally hide the required learning section on the new Learning homepage if there isn't any required learning needed at that particular time. So that is something that it's not a global feature, so you do still have to call that out organizationally, but that's a nice add for those organizations that would like to be able to do that. And then one of the other changes that's happening within Learning that we wanted to bring forward is that on the new Learning homepage, you have the ability to display assignments that are assigned as non-required and really call those out in their optional sense there. So there are some additional ones that are definitely worth reviewing within the What's New viewer. Do take a look at that. And if you need any assistance, please don't hesitate to reach out to us for assistance at Rizing. I think that's it, Shannon. Back to you.
Great. Thank you so much, Heather. Definitely seeing a consistent theme of that user experience throughout all of our modules, and excited again to see it coming into some of our more established modules as well. So very exciting stuff. All right, moving right along, we're going to go over to Jorge, who's going to walk through people analytics and the technical pieces of this release. What is going on, Jorge?
Thanks, Shannon. Yeah, so in the people analytics space, I guess the main couple of things that have been sitting around and there has been a lot of controversy among customers is those deprecation alerts around the different legacy reporting tools in SuccessFactors. So the first 2 are still according to the plan based on previous notifications by SAP. This is the existing deprecation alert for both the classic reports as well as the titles and dashboards. Those are still going to go ahead according to the initial comms. So next November 2024, which is not far away, classic reports will be deleted out of the environment, as well as tiles and dashboards will follow through on November next year. Where there has been some, I guess, pushback, and SAP has been accepting those feedback, is in the other 2 legacy reporting tools, Canvas and Table Reports. Even though there hasn't been any significant news in terms of the What's New viewer, because the same literature that was shared in the previous release, it's still the same. However, those 2 Canvas and Table Reports tools have been put on hold for now. So for now, I guess the message to customers is they can still use them will not be deleted this time for sure, but my advice is to keep an eye on next communications in 2024 to see what's the outcome for those two. So that's everything that comes to deprecation alerts in the analytics space. In terms of enhancements, specifically for people stories, the first one has to do, and it is tied to the previous deprecation alert, is that now you have options to report on different data schemas, which is going to help support that decision to continue to use some of those reporting tools. So as of this release, customers can now report the usage of both table as well as tiles and dashboard reports using a new data schema in People Stories. I guess this is probably provided by SAP to support the decision to decommission some of these reporting tools. The other big enhancement has to do with extra validation when it comes to People Stories. So in the event that a customer is making modifications to a table or a column in one of the schemas that are being used by a specific People Story, and as a result of those modifications, like an example, a field is being removed or a column has been removed, then next time you try to run that story, you will see an invalid icon showing up in Report Center, asking you as a customer to have a look, troubleshoot, fix it, and then once you've done all those activities, the story will continue to work again. So all in all, from a people analytics point of view, relatively stable in terms of enhancement. Is just keeping an eye on those deprecation alerts that we just mentioned today. Now, moving on to the technical space, I'm not going to mention the big innovation alerts that have to do with SAP Joule announced last release, or the continuous innovation with Microsoft Teams and the native integration to support a lot of use cases in SuccessFactors directly from Teams. So aside from those, the main areas of for customers to look at this time of the year in this H1 2024 release have to do again with some of these deprecation alerts. The first one had been initiated a long time ago. We've been talking about this one around the HTTP basic authentication for API since 2020. If you remember, access to APIs based on the HTTP basic authentication had reached end of maintenance last June 2023, so some time ago. The plan is still on track to delete this method by November 2026, and this is aligned to previous communications from SAP. If you remember, HTTP basic authentication is an authentication method used to access APIs. SAP made this requirement in favor of more secure methods like OAuth 2.0 authentication, which basically uses certificate-based mechanisms. So again, the same message this time of the year, just make sure that you identify those integrations, whether these are supported by the Solex partners like Kronos, Workforce, and the likes of those, or whether you are making inbound calls into SuccessFactors. Just make sure that you're no longer using username and password. Now, the next one is also another deprecation alert. It has to do with the old legacy way of establishing single sign-on directly between SuccessFactors and the customer's corporate identity provider. This is the first time that we are hearing from SAP that customers will have to migrate to SAP Cloud Identity Services. So far has been recommended, but this is the first time where you must take on IIS. The date is June 2025, so it's not far away. It's still a lot of time to implement identity services across the board, but this is definitely a good call out for all customers out there. So if you are currently using a third-party corporate identity provider solutions such as Microsoft Azure, AD, Okta, Google OneLogin, or others, or you are still using basic authentication to log in into SuccessFactors, this is a good reminder for your organization to migrate to identity authentication as soon as possible. The next one hasn't been called out in this H1 2024 What's New viewer, but it is going to be significant if customers are not doing anything, and it's the adoption of the common superdomain for SAP SuccessFactors Suite and also identity authentication tenants. As you probably know and have heard about in the past, major web browsers are planning or have planned to discontinue third-party cookie support. So if Google, Chrome, Microsoft Edge, and the likes of those are those major web browsers, and most customers are using those browsers to access SuccessFactors. In this case, all what SAP has done to mitigate this issue is coming up with a new common superdomain for their tenant URLs. Essentially, they're going to change the URL to a common superdomain, similar to cloud.sap or sapcloud.cn if you are in China, which basically means that you may be impacted if you don't migrate in time. Especially when it comes to authentication and access applications that are embedded into your SuccessFactors suite. The date is fast approaching. It's coming around August this year, so we highly recommend all customers to please upgrade to identity authentication as well as the common superdomain in your preview test systems prior to taking on your productive instance ASAP this time of the year. Similar to other releases in the past, there are always some minor enhancements to existing OData APIs. This time, some enhancement to the data privacy consent statements, where customers can now use data privacy consent statements APIs to view consent statements by an employee. The other enhancement when it comes to APIs is the option to now enable snapshot-based paginations for individual custom NDF objects. In the past, this was controlled by role-based permissions. And last but not least, in the ERP space, for those who are using S/4HANA, especially those customers that are into the RISE movement, there is now the option to connect multiple Employee Central instances to the same client of the SAP S/4HANA system. The rationale behind this, and this is probably going to impact very big companies that have widespread across multiple countries or big regions in one country, is the option to, for example, have different legal entities that require separate management of employee data. So you can transition the move to Employee Central in a staggered manner. How to turn it on? You need to make sure that you are on the latest SAP EC S/4HANA integration add-on on support package 3 at this time. And yeah, that's all from my end. Thanks, Shannon. Over to yourself.
Great. Thank you so much for all that great information. And to wrap us all up, we're going to bring it back to Tim, who's going to walk through just some general platform highlights, which are pretty big highlights that are happening from a platform perspective. So Tim, can you walk us through those? Sure
thing. Thanks, Shannon. So the first one we wanted to go through today is you've heard a number of sort of enhancements in the individual modules around some of the AI functionality. Joule is now being made available in the Australian Sydney data center. This now makes it available in both Europe, US, and Australia. So something to look forward to there, and that will kind of increase over time. One of the biggest things for platform this round is the people profile upgrade. So this is a new experience for the people profile. When you're searching for an employee and a couple of other different places, instead of that quick card management and navigation that pops up, is now coming up with a full profile on the right-hand side of the screen. This is a big visual change for a lot of customers, but it does give you the same level of experience, and then moving into what's called the profile spotlight, which gives you a lot of individual cards that are based around what you have enabled and what you have permission to for that employee before hitting their talent profile. And so it does change it from a visual perspective, but it does give you a lot more options and sort of enhanced view on the employee straight off the bat. It's obviously going to take some time for people to get used to. It is automatically enabled in your preview instance. So if you haven't seen it yet, please take a look and judge accordingly. But this will become the ongoing view for this data going forward. The old profile will become deprecated in November 2025, so you have some time to get used to it. In addition to the people profile is also a new org chart experience that goes hand in hand. This is an update that has been kind of in the works for a while. The org chart hasn't had a direct update for a while. So this is actually replacing the entire org chart with a new kind of look and feel. It is a smoother experience when you first navigate directly to the org chart. It gives you all of the upper levels straight away. So moving between sort of levels and branches is a lot easier. It is in conjunction with the new people profile. It's recommended to have both enabled at the same time so they can both be taken advantage of. In addition as well is the role-based permissions upgrade. So this is the new role-based permissions experience. This has been available for at least one release. What they've done now is enhance it now and made it automatically enabled. So you will see that change in your preview instances before it hits production, where the new role-based permissions view is now available. The main thing about this is they've increased the functionality and made sure that some of the gaps have been addressed in order to enable adoption of this new experience. It does increase some of the functionality has been increased, as well as in terms of the new role-based permissions experience itself. The separation of permissions and assignments does help, along with the search functionality, which was definitely helps to find certain things within the thing. So it has improved quite a lot. The last thing I want to mention is please make sure that you keep up with any of the deprecation of the logic that's coming through. This includes some of the things that we've already mentioned around the reporting, some of the profile experience and stuff like that. Basic rules is also in play here now. You will start to see messaging around basic rules not being available going forward. The new creation of basic rules is getting deprecated and then eventually getting deleted. The instance sync is another one that's a big thing as well, where from an implementation or moving data between instances standpoint, making sure that then you transition into the configuration transport center. So definitely take a look at that deprecation list and keep up to date with that. Thanks, Shannon.
Great. Thank you so much, Tim, for all that information. And just to reiterate what Tim said, some newer features have come out to support these things that are being deprecated soon. Definitely encourage everyone to be looking at this in your test instances, become familiar with them. Don't be afraid of the change. Embrace all of these user experiences that are being enhanced and just start planning for that for your organization. So that wraps up everything that we have for you today. I would like to thank our panel of experts for highlighting and sharing their thoughts. And thank you so much for joining us. We hope that this information that we provided will be helpful to you as you are navigating through this first half of 2024 release. Thank you.
To find out more, head to rising.com.